Hi Year 11, welcome to English in 10. Today's question is, what is Tybalt's role in the play? So in the next 10 minutes I'm going to talk to you about how he impacts upon the narrative as a whole and end then with a task for you to then go and do on your own for the next 30 minutes of your revision session today. So let's start off with here. Tybalt is in 3 scenes, that's all. He's actually quite a small role in that manner here. The first scene that we see him in is this one, Act 1, Scene 1. This is the first time we meet the Montagues and the Capulets. And here are the 2 key quotations that I want to look at. The first one is his first comment when he says this, "What, art thou drawn amongst these heartless hinds? Turn thee, Benvolio, look upon thy death." So here we see immediately a provocative character. His very opening line to the play is immediately argumentative. We see very much from the opening the kind of character he is and what he very much embodies in terms of the ancient grudge that we've heard about already in the prologue between the Montagues and the Capulets. He also acts here very much as the antithesis to Benvolio. Benvolio's a peacemaker. He's trying to put things together. He's trying to prevent a brawl from breaking out. When of course the opposite side, the Capulet, arrives immediately ready to create a fight. In fact, whenever we do see Tybalt, he is a stimulus for all the fights in the play. He very much ensures that this brawl then takes place. And then, of course, in the Capulet part, he tries to incite another fight. And then when he's searching for Romeo, once again, to start a fight. So you even call him the stimulus in terms of the kind of technique or role that he's playing in this play. Now, the only other line he has in this scene, he only says 2 things, is this. What, drawn and talk of peace? I hate the word, as I hate hell, all Montagues, and thee. Have it thee, coward. Now, here we see a very passionate speech here from Tybalt. He very much believes in what he is saying. He's not fighting for the sake of it. He's fighting with a reason. He's someone with a cause here. He's a very loyal member of the Capulet family. And you must call him an antagonist. In every single scene he's in, he is doing what he believes is the right thing to protect his family. Yes, it has very tragic consequences, but he does believe in what he's doing. So there's an element of respect there for the kind of character he is. Now, the second scene in which we see him in is, of course, the Capulet party, Act 1, Scene 5. And he does say more in this scene, but it is all very much around, again, the same ideas: violence, loyalty, and pride. So one thing he says here, seeing Romeo at the party, is this: "It fits when such a villain is a guest, I'll not endure him." And this is the response to Lord Capulet, who is quite keen to just ignore Romeo's presence. This very much shows his impulsive nature, that he immediately even goes against the leader of his own family, someone who he should be very respectful to. Very impetuous behaviour here. We see it's almost quite childish. I'm not putting up with this. But at the same time, he's doing it out of a sense of loyalty to the Capulet family. But it does stem from pride and honour. Now, bear in mind, this takes place after he's been told by the prince that if they have any more fights, there will be executions for anyone who's involved in more brawls. And the very next time we see Tybalt, he's quite keen to go against what the prince is saying. So it does show that he places his own family's honour above the laws of the city. So he's quite keen to only see his family as being the highest power, not the prince. And of course, remember, this is a very religious time. This is a Catholic country, Italy. So he's even quite keen to risk sin if it means keeping his family's pride and honour in place. The second line is this, the last thing he says in this scene: "I will withdraw, but this intrusion shall, now seeming sweet, convert to bitterest gall." So here we see very much a foreshadowing that he says, "Oh, I will step back," but Romeo might have thought he'd gotten away with this. He won't. I'm definitely going to take my revenge. Again, there's quite resentful behaviour from him, but it does foreshadow what's going to happen next. And it could almost suggest that he's the catalyst for bringing about the tragedy that we see later on in the play. So between his first scene and his second scene, we're seeing there's much anger. Here he feels very much more resentful. He's had his pride knocked, so he's gone from being kind of the keen to have a fight in scene 1 to scene 5, and actually he's very reactive. He's furious. This is not just about having a brawl. This is actually about his honour is definitely at stake here. All right, so our next scene, the final scene we see him in, remember, only 3 scenes, a small role really if you think about it. And he approaches Benvolio Mercutio. He's searching for Romeo, the person who he's determined to have his revenge on. And his comment to Romeo is this: "Boy, this," meaning Romeo's apology, "shall not excuse the injuries that thou hast done me. Therefore, turn and draw." Here we see an escalation of violence. This is where he's completely ignoring the prince's warning and the new law that's been put into place. He's seeking vengeance. For him, this is him being able to put his family's pride back into the place. He's taking revenge on Romeo. But also it does show very much the problem with this ancient grudge and the impact it's having on the generation right now. Because of this ancient grudge, today's generation, Tybalt here, Romeo, are being impacted upon it. So of course, what Tybalt is showing is the absolute problems and the problematic nature of having these overall arguments, these fights, and the problems it can cause to the everyday generation. So look at the role he's playing is he's highlighting the absolute flaws in the fighting between the Montagues and the Capulets. Essentially, Lord Capulet and Lord Montague, they both survived. They're both adults, haven't had children. It's the next generation that are paying or have been impacted upon because of what they have themselves have continued to have happen. Now, you've got those three scenes with those three key quotes, and of course the comments are just made for you. What I'm going to ask you to do now is you have 30 minutes after I finish speaking, and what I would like you to consider is, what is Tybalt's role in this play? So in 30 minutes, I would like you to write at least 3 paragraphs where you explore his impact on the narrative. Think about the quotations I've just mentioned. If you want to use others, absolutely fine. But compare him to other characters. He's the antithesis to Benvolio, but what is he to Romeo perhaps? What is he to Juliet perhaps? Remember, they're both the same family. What is his role there? What do you think he actually represents in the play? I've talked about him representing the problematic nature of this continual grudge, the representation of the fact that actually of pride, almost themes that you might want to consider as well. And how do you think perhaps the contemporary audience would react to Tybalt's behaviour in comparison to today? Now remember, the contemporary audience would have been an English Protestant audience. How they react to this Catholic Italian and his behaviour, his attitudes, his reaction to the fact that he would put his family's honour above his religious beliefs. And what do you think perhaps is Shakespeare's intent here? What message is he trying to get across? What is he trying to perhaps impact upon us? What do you think is the effect of Tybalt's behaviours? So you've got 30 minutes now. I would suggest that you please feel free to look back over the video, look back at some of the comments there and the texts, quotations that I've really referred to, and think about how you would best respond to this role of what is Tybalt's role in the play.